Greetings and salutations. Welcome to this episode of Playwright Spotlight. Before we begin, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and share this show with a friend. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe to the channel. And as much as I hate to do this so far before the holiday season, if you're looking for a gift for your favorite playwright, actor, writer, producer, or director, please pick up a copy of Play Noir Anthology, 41 film noir-styled one-act plays written from playwrights around the world. All 7 seasons in one compendium. Although they are available individually, there's 2 bonus plays in the Play Noir Anthology available on Amazon. My guests today are a writing duo. One is a singer, actor, writer, musician, and comedian, as well as an award-winning vocal arranger, comedy writer, and composer. He's also the host of Ethan's Open Mic, a variety open mic with a live band. The other writer is a New York City-based actor, writer, and ballerino, having been a full-time company dancer from 2014 to 2016 with the Ballet Pensacola, the only resident professional dance company in the area. They're writers of the new musical Golem Owned, a Tropical Smoothie, which won Best Musical at Soundbite 6.0 in 2019, was the recipient of the 2020 National Alliance of Musical Theater's Frank Young Fund, as well as semifinalist of the 2020 Eugene O'Neill Conference, Playwriting Conference, and in 2021 was a recipient of the New York Foundation of the Arts City Artist Corps grant. Golem Owned, a Tropical Smoothie opened October 17th and runs through November 10th at the Tanks 98-seat Theater in New York. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ethan, Crystal, and Garrett Poladian. Gentlemen, thank you. Apologies for the hello. Starting off with a little magic.
Yes, lots of tricks up your sleeve.
Yeah, thanks for the patience. We had a little technical difficulties prior to this.
No, it's fine. No, it's great. Oh my God, when you say it like that, it really sounds very impressive.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So
thanks for that. Thank you.
No, appreciate it. And I obviously, by the time this drops, your play will have opened.
Yes.
But let's go through some history, because obviously it's got some awards behind it from 2019. Obviously, my guess is you had some issues with the lockdowns, as everybody else did, and probably put things on behind. Mm-hmm. So what was the process? First of all, one at a time, what's your background in playwriting, if any?
This is pretty much the first thing that I have written professionally, or have taken, pretty serious.
Well, we met as actors. We were actors aboard a cruise ship on a cruise ship contract. And on cruise ships, you have you're trapped there if you're a performer, sort of. You can go on land sometimes, but you have to get on much earlier than the other passengers. And so you are really kind of a prisoner on the ship. No disrespect to
prisoners,
ships or boats of any kind where you have to be on it, but it gives you a lot of free time. And we had all this free time to come up with dumb stuff to make our friends laugh, and this was the thing we came up with. And so we wrote this opening number of this show in 2017 while we were aboard this cruise ship, and we put it up in the crew bar on the ship. In the middle of the afternoon, there was a crossover, so everyone was free. And so we made these little flyers come see Golem Owned, a Tropical Smoothie in the crew bar. And Garrett made a puppet out of stuff that I bought in Miami, and a wig holder that he had gotten from the dressing room. And we just put it together. It's the story of these this kid that works who just moved to this town in Panama City Beach, Florida, which Garrett is from. And he's working for Golem, and he's trying to find out the meaning of his life. And oh, by the way, Golem's my boss. That's weird too, I guess. I don't know. And,
this whole thing's been kind of snowballing in that way to get us to this point.
Yeah.
And we very unexpectedly become writers in the process.
And that's what I really want to unpack for a good amount of this, is especially because it's neither one of you have a background in playwriting, and that's all good, and there's nothing wrong with that. I still go back and forth on whether or not you really need formal training. Sure. But at the same time, I want to unpack the obstacles you had to overcome, how it was writing your first piece as a collaboration. Did one of you go back and write one scene, the other one wrote the other scene, and then you came back and let's see how it meshes? What was the overall process? It's okay, we got the first musical number that you guys performed, and then what happened after that said, okay, let's make a this a whole big thing?
Well, I think it's really important to say that we started out as friends before we decided to become a collaborative writing duo.
Yeah.
So, and since this was the first thing we ever wrote together, we were really coming together each time as friends who just wanted to hang out and, you know, kind of like had the same drive to like getting to somewhere we wanted to go.
Yeah, our first writing we ever did was just sitting in like a social situation and like joking to each other, like what we could do to completely ruin that situation. Like, you're real if you say this.
Yeah.
If you say, like, if we're doing a play reading, and like, you're real if you
blank blank
if you say blank blank blank, you go, oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong part of the script.
Yeah,
right.
We would drink, we would have some beers, and then we would sit in one of our cabins and we would start writing things out. And so, I mean, at the beginning, I think that we wrote a lot together, and like up until now, a lot of our process is like we like to be in the same room.
Yeah.
And we come forth with like any ideas that we have. Yeah. Something we've maybe been working on our own, but we bring it to the other person. Be like, hey, I think I've got something. Yeah. Let me spitball this. Let me pitch it, and then let's riff back and forth. And then, you know, I would say that's the majority of our writing process. And then there are moments where one of us will just completely like write a full song, and we're like, what do you think? And we're like, this is incredible. Like, what do I even say? And we'll work on it together.
Yeah, I mean, also this show, like this show, and what this show is kind of about is what the journey of the show has been for us, which is like learning how to make a good show, how to write a good show, how to put together something that is like more than just funny, that like has like a depth to it, that has heart, that has those like tent poles of storytelling that are required to get you to the thing that you're really trying to say. And we also like learned very early when we were just starting to spitball that we actually have like sets of skills that complement each other really well. So like we were like, oh, you can make all these puppets. Oh, you can sit and like write out all this music. You can like write it and teach it and like write these choral parts and like and so we kind of found out like, oh, I guess between the two of us we have what it takes to like put up a good we have a brain cell each. And
we have one brain.
Yeah, and I'm
being serious, James. Like we make one pretty awesome person. Yeah. Separately, that's a whole other podcast that we should probably get on.
Yeah.
So, because the one thing you said, we started off as friends before we became writers, co-writers. But at the same time, like that happens with a lot of people, and then what winds up happening is like they part ways because the ideas got in the way of their friendship. It's like they didn't agree. So what was it what do you think the key was for you two to not, and were there any incidents where you didn't agree, and how did you kind of overcome that disagreement?
Well, the one thing that helps when you're writing a comedy musical about Golem owning a smoothie shop in Florida is that when you disagree about something, at the end of the day, it never, like there's been stuff we disagreed on pretty strongly, but like it really never felt like it was that serious, you know, like if like, oh, well, we should keep the song, oh, we should change it, okay, well then we'll try it this way and see how it feels, and if not, we'll go back. And like part of it, like when you're writing a comedy, at least when we're writing a comedy, thank fucking God, like can we swear on here? Are we allowed?
Fuck yeah. I mean, no, fuck no. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, anyways, fucking what the fuck I was fucking saying was that we were like, what we're always trying to do is like make the other person laugh. Like I'm not like, if I write something that makes myself laugh that like doesn't make Garrett laugh, then I go, well, maybe it's probably not, it doesn't really belong in the show maybe. But like that's what keeps it going.
Yeah, we also had this sort of thing that we'd always say was that the show is the thing.
Yeah.
The show has always been the thing.
Yeah.
Like taking ourselves out of it, what we're trying to do is really make something that's going to make a lot of people laugh and like put them in a really good mood. Mm-hmm. So I feel like when you put that on your plate and you take yourself out of it, it's like, it makes it easier to not be so like, well, this is my idea and you don't like my idea. It's like, it's about the whole thing, man. Like where we're trying to go to together. Like who gives a fuck if like we have this line that was yours or mine, or you wrote this song, and we're headed to the same place.
Yeah, it's easy to get locked up in that when you're looking at the big picture. Also we know that we'll never be bigger than Golem. Golem, like, you know, it's like Hannah and Barbera were like, oh, we're bigger than Yogi. Smack! No, you're not.
Yeah,
fair enough. So you wrap up that first song. You've got it. You send out the flyers. You perform it. What's the response after that first performance with just that one number?
The first time we did it was that one number. It was one of the most electric feelings I've ever felt in my life. It was the spark that made us go,
yeah,
we have to keep doing this.
Yeah, because like the very end is like there's like a big like it builds up a lot of anticipation for like Golem coming into the shop to work, because Golem's done so much for the community here. Yeah, you know, he's really, everyone loves him. He really is he's like
Oprah.
Yeah, he's like a mom and pop shop. He's like he's like oh Brenda, oh my God, it's so good to see you. How's the baby? Like, you know, he's got that sort of energy about him. And so everyone's waiting. Oh, Golem's here. And that time on the ship was the first time I think anyone had ever seen this puppet.
Yeah, nobody had seen it
so
before.
We open the little door and his little head creeps out. And I swear to God, it was like, people went fucking
We have the video.
insane.
People were just like, oh my God. It was all our friends that we've been working with. And then like he comes charging onto the stage and everybody's singing the chorus. Golem on the Tropical Smoothie. Yeah. And it was just, it made people so fucking happy. It made them laugh so hard. Like the initial idea made us laugh. And we were like, oh shit, this could really work.
This could really fucking work.
So you said,
the chorus is very important. It goes, don't think too hard.
Don't think what?
Oh, so it goes, don't ask questions, just accept the fact that he owned a Tropical Smoothie.
Got it. That's awesome.
Talking directly to the people who are sitting in the seat who were just paid for the ticket. Or maybe paid a long time ago. I don't know.
Well, no, but so you send this out.
Yeah.
It's one number. It's like, come see this show. It's one number. It's a 10-minute show. Is that we're talking maybe a 5-minute, if that? And then was there anything else that made this? I'm just curious what the rest of the makeup of the show was if you only have one number from this particular piece at this point.
Well, at the time, we didn't have anything but that opening number.
Right.
Yeah. So after that, we started crafting what, you know, the idea of what an entire musical would look like or sound like. Mm-hmm. And we had an idea that our next idea that came to us was this sort of 11 o'clock number that would happen at the end of the show. Yeah. So it's in the title. Golem owned a Tropical Smoothie. Like,
I caught that when I was doing
what happened?
Word choice. That's what writers do. You know, they pick the words are used very intentionality.
So we went to the end. We were like, what he loses the shop. How does he lose the shop? And so the next song we wrote was like towards the end. And then, so we had the beginning and sort of like the end. And then we started finding our way through the rest of the piece. But we wrote the whole show around these two numbers that we had.
Yeah. And then after I got fired from the cruise ship, we did it again. And then we like that song was in the presentation, and the creative team from the show that he was still in, that I used to be in, saw it and we're like, oh my God, this is really good, you guys. And we were like, oh my God, really? They think it's good? We should finish the show. And then the Soundbites thing that you mentioned was a 10-minute musical festival, because we just came back to New York looking for like, what do we do with this thing that we've written? Where can we put it? What can we do? And we had this opening number that was exactly 10 minutes and needed no context to work. And so we submitted it into a 10-minute musical festival.
Got it.
It is like always was intended to be like the beginning of a longer piece.
So is that the Soundbite 6.0?
Yes, that's what Soundbites was. And that was really exciting. That was the first thing we ever entered it into, and it won. And so we were like, oh my God, maybe like.
And feel free to gloss over this question, but I'm just curious, how does one get fired off a cruise ship?
That's a great story.
Like there's, I mean, you can do basically anything to get fired from
Ethan,
the security is just like all the time. Like they're drunk with power over there. Listen. You're working on a cruise ship. You tamper with your, like, if your like smoke alarm is like going off when you don't want it to, and you turn it off, you will get fired from the ship. It happened. Yeah, it can happen to anybody, literally. Like all I did was try to bring edibles into Bermuda, but that's like nothing. Like that's like anyone would do that, right? You know?
All right. So
the jail cell was bigger than my cabin.
Well, at least you are more comfortable, I would imagine. I hope.
I was, yeah, I know. A lot more space. Like I could put like a pace around.
The ship left his ass.
Yeah, yeah. When you get fired from a ship, they take
him.
your stuff out and they leave it on the shore, and then the boat leaves without you. And then you, a woman from the U.S. consulate of whatever country you're in, calls you and goes, "Hi, I'm Marcy. You're gonna get bail tomorrow, and I'm gonna pick you up in my VW Bug with my 11-year-old son in the front seat and drive you 2.5 hours to pick up your belongings." Yeah, and then Golem Owned the Tropical Smoothie. That's the story.
Well, it sounds like there's another musical behind that too, Stranded in Bermuda or something like that. I don't know. So you've got your 10-minute piece. It's one soundbite. It's in 2019.
Yeah.
You wrote another number, and now what happens? What's the next step?
What was
well, we did a couple full. We finished the script and we did a couple full length readings. Like we rented out like big rehearsal rooms.
Yeah, we produced a lot of readings on our own in between, like going to sound bites and after. But the Sound Bites Festival was a part of this theater organization called Theater Now, and we got invited to be a part of a writers group for musicals.
Another big growing place for us because we had never been in part of a writers group. We had never considered ourselves writers like before we wrote this musical, and now we were like in like a round table listening to people's pieces. And
I fucking hated it. It was tough. We were in it, and that theater company eventually, like right before the pandemic hit, was like, we want to produce a staged version of this, and so we were working towards that, and then lockdown happened and then just sort of stopped everything.
There were a lot of cool people in that writers.
They were cool.
Yeah.
What did you learn in that writers group? What did you learn?
That it's basically impossible to, like, the problem with the writers meeting group is that part of the skill of like getting your writing across is figuring out how to present it out of context.
Yeah.
And that is basically in a musical, like close to impossible.
Right.
And B, like a lot of people, like, especially, I mean, like, I don't know, I felt lucky that we had an acting background. So every time we presented something, we're like, okay, we got to give it some sort of pizzazz, some sort of presentational aspect of it. It's like, oh, well, so we're on the page and this is what happens. It's like it's so hard to like that you have to like put a lot of because like in front of, especially for people you don't know very well, it's like everything you do, it's like it is like kind of, it's almost like a pitch every time.
Yeah,
and you have to like paint the picture of the scene.
And I'm really good at like visual things. I'm a designer as well, so like I was able to visually sort of show our idea, which is, I don't think something that a lot of other people in that room were doing, wanted to do. They would kind of like skip over that part. So then when you like go to the talk back, people can't see your vision. Like you have to almost like spoon feed them what you need to, so they can get inside your head to see what you're seeing. If not, it's like, what's the point of being here? Like,
that is like that's what we learned.
Yeah.
That is what we learned.
So did you, I mean, in that regard, were you guys met with a lot of resistance then?
No, because every time we got up, our piece was like the most visually stimulating. Our music was always like fucking like near perfect thanks to this guy. And we had actors come in to perform. We put on a show for them, which is what nobody else was doing.
Well, I mean,
this is within the writers group.
Yeah,
there's a lot of great pieces in the group, but when you're in the group and you're like the funny, silly guys with the puppet golem thing, like after a long day of like, oh, here's the serious stuff, then like people are excited to see the dumb shit at the end. Yeah, you know, that has helped us over the years. I think it was part of the reason that we did well at that competition.
That's true. That's true.
It was like, it's hard to be this. It's hard to be in a relationship. It's hard to have cancer. Golem on a Tropical Smoothie.
Because we're coming off of the whole Dear Evan Hansen era when that show was happening. So everybody wanted to write musicals about this heavy shit, which is great. Like we need that, thank God. But that was just not what we were interested in doing.
Sure.
We were actually more interested in making fun of that.
Yeah, the idea that like it's all
fair enough. And I asked this question, and it's not in a not to
you can insult
from a place of insult. Is the whole is it the whole is it a puppet show? Is every character a puppet show? Is it live actors and then you have Golem as a puppet?
Yeah, it's very Avenue Q. It's the universe has puppets and people.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Avenue Q, Muppets, vibes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Is that Trader Joe's dark chocolate? I've been hearing so much about.
You're goddamn fucking right.
Good. Real good.
There you go. Hopefully we'll get some sponsorship from TJ's at this point.
Yeah, You deserve
so what? How much changed? You go to this writers group. You present it. Did you already have a full draft at this point, or are you still working on it while you're in this group?
We were on like draft 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3, but we were still
okay.
Yeah.
And so what changed, or what did you learn? What
did we showed Kyle's song? We showed.
Oh, we got a plan.
We showed Gabby's song.
Yeah.
What was a really big thing?
It wasn't during the writers group, but one of the biggest changes we had was we had this original storyline for the character of Ian's sister Gabby.
Oh yeah.
Where there was this idea that she was secretly had a huge crush on Golem. Mm-hmm. And they were and she was like, well, how do I tell him that I love him? Type thing. And then as the story went on, we were going to realize, oh, this is a funny bit, but it doesn't really go anywhere of the story. And so we replaced that song with a new one that's
her whole character arc.
She is the one that changed the most.
She's the most developed. We have so much material for her because every time we do a reading, we would get a lot of response from people that was like, you're over sexualizing this female, one of the only female characters that you have in the show.
Well, when we started together, we had it was a much more bro-y vibe. First drafts of the show, it was kind of like a comedy sketch, with vibes of there's Super Troopers or stuff like that, raunchy comedy. And we kind of were looking at the show well, what are we really trying to say here, and how much of this humor really serves that, and how much what is the tone that we really want to center in on with this show.
But we had written the 2 other leads in the show, which are a guy named Ian and Kyle, who work at Tropical Smoothie. Their 2 solos are really fucking deep numbers that come from it's very, very clear what their wants are, and it's it's to find their true place in the world, and then to find love and rewrite the story of one's life. And then you had her song that was I want to fuck something named Golem. Yeah. And it wasn't adding up. So over time, that whole character has been so developed and has changed, and now is one of the strongest songs, moments, themes in the whole show.
So you guys were in agreement. It wasn't like somebody came in and was like, this is kind of currently unacceptable these days, so I suggest you drop it. Or did you
Well, some people did friends or something, but here right now and then. But what we could have learned over the course of writing it is that there's no consensus on what is and isn't appropriate. It depends on what your show is and what the tone of your show is and how you choose to do and say things. If you want to write a character that is not politically correct, you just have to make sure that you're making a strong enough it's smart, sharp statement with why that character is that way.
I agree with that, but at the same time, I find that some audiences can't separate the writers from the character. They think, oh well, that's they're just projecting themselves.
Yeah,
we're in it.
Yeah. No,
but when you have a puppet, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I feel the show leans more male heavy anyway. As far as physical beings that are in the cast who identify as male, and then also characters in the show. So we just it wasn't worth having this whole musical ride on this idea of this girl wanting to fuck this thing. It would just, it wasn't eventually, it just wasn't serving the whole piece of where we wanted to go. It was, and it wasn't really representing what we really wanted to say with all of it.
Right. Well, and I think maybe this is something that other writers go through too, where in their early work they're writing from this thing that like they think is funny, but then what they learn over time is that it's like not really a thing that everyone thinks is funny. It's a thing that like you and like other people like you think is funny. And so over time you learn to expand like what it is and specify what you in the show is trying to say, as opposed to like staying within like. Did you find
there were moments when like things that you thought were funny just weren't landing, and it just like, okay, that's,
you could feel it in the room.
But something like the reason things don't land, it's a lot of times it's like the setup is wrong, or like if this song were here, there, if that were here, there, all the way back then, like there's things that like a joke landing or not landing has like, it could have a lot less to do with what you think it has to do with than you think. What is the kind of things that I just say? What was that?
No, I asked because it's like I did a holiday comedy that well, it's actually still running. They're doing their 25-year anniversary, and we discovered what we coined as that. It was rehearsal funny. Right. Like in rehearsals with us, it was the most hilarious thing in the world, and then once we presented, it was like, yeah, we're gonna have to cut that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. So I was just curious if that was kind of this. It's a similar situation.
Well,
okay,
yeah,
so
all the time, yeah, that happens.
Okay, so we've gotten through. We've cut we've changed the character, and now we've gotten through the writers' room or the writers' group portion. We've got that draft complete. Our character is evolved, and now once we've got to that point, what's your next step?
We got together and decided we wanted to do a concert.
Okay.
We've done a lot of readings. We've done a lot of stage reading presentations with just piano and minimal instrumentation.
Well, before that, we came out of the pandemic, and the idea was that we were going to go and do the first staged version of the show.
Yeah.
But we had talked to some people who were like, you guys should continue to workshop this thing before you decide to show it to people, like to really be like the first stage presentation. And we ultimately were like, okay, we agree with you. So we waited on that.
Yeah.
And then we moved to the concert.
We had a couple readings and together this concert, like an hour and a half long concert.
Who was that advice coming from for the workshop? To keep workshopping it, just out of curiosity.
We had a consulting producer on our team, I think was the main person that gave us the advice. And it was good advice. She was like, keep workshopping it. Like the show, you could do it, but you should let it simmer some more.
Yeah.
It was good advice because looking back, had we done that production, we would have taken our shot way too early. And the version we had just is not going to go off as well as this one is going to.
So what changed in that regard? Is that when the character changed? We got rid of the over sexualization of the female character.
I mean, from that version to this
painting,
but
that's not the only thing.
No, but that was a big one. That was a big one.
Okay.
They were also like, just because look, we're in the show. We play the Golem and Smeagol characters, and a really good piece of advice we got from another writer friend of ours after they saw the piece was that they asked us, how do you two fit in with the story you're telling of Golem Owned, Tropical Smoothie? Because we're in the show. That piece of advice really sparked a match to like this whole like meta idea that we have with the show about us being writers and being involved on stage while the show is happening. And then, so once we put that idea in the show, I don't want to give it away, but there's kind of like a twist at the end. It gets very meta. Once that idea started to evolve, the longer Ethan and I spent writing the show, the longer we spent as friends, only made the show grow.
Repeat that idea that somebody presented to you. I want to make sure that because I do want to pack this because there's a reason why I'm asking. Keep going. What was that idea again? Since you guys are acting in the show as writers, what was the idea?
We're in the show as writers, but also playing the Golem puppet character, and our friend asked us, how do we fit in with the story we're telling?
As the actors or as the writers?
As the writers, as the actors. Like, how do both of those things fit in?
Yeah.
And you said that would give something away to if I said, what did you learn or how did that come into play? That would give something away. Is that true?
There's where the story goes, where the story starts and where it ends are two completely different places. I mean, and that's.
Can you go ahead? Sorry. No, that's okay. Go for it.
One thing, which is, how do you find meaning in your life? And it's told through the lens of this. The main story, the non-meta story, is this kid Ian that moves to this town and is like, why? What's the purpose of my life? Also, Golem is my boss, and I don't know exactly why. That's weird too. And the second layer is like Ian sort of like representing the audience, like, okay, why does Golem own Tropical Smoothie? Fuck you, because I don't know. Don't think too hard. Don't ask questions.
Exactly. Sure.
He owns Tropical Smoothie.
Yeah.
And then the third layer is when there's parts of the show that start to sort of fall apart, where like something goes wrong, and then we have to talk to somebody, and then like another horrible thing goes wrong. Maybe the show's not going to go off. And then this character, Ian, somehow sees that. And so then there's this element of, okay, and then it's the two guys that are there, the audience that sees us knows immediately that the people responsible for this ridiculous experience are right here in front of you. The two of us. The buck stops here for anything that you see happen on this stage.
Two questions.
Yeah.
No, wait, finish and then I'll ask.
And so then the what does it mean becomes not only about what it is to be working at a tropical smoothie shop for Golem, but to have spent years and years of your life creating just a silly thing to make people smile.
So let me ask you this, and I don't know if you can answer this without giving anything away. And the reason why, like in the past few episodes, we've come across why LA theater is so bad or why it had a bad rap, and usually it's because
we don't know much about it. We're New York people. We don't
well,
know.
I mean, no, but here you'll understand where I'm coming from. Obviously, New York's more stage, and LA's more Hollywood and film and television. But because people are trying to get their foot in the door, more often than not, what winds up happening in LA, at least back when I first moved here in 2000, it was a bunch of actors that would write something who had no writing experience whatsoever. They'd write something for themselves. They'd write it, direct it, star in it, and then it would blow.
Yeah.
But you're coming to it where somebody presented you with a different, like, what does this mean? Rather than I'm gonna write this to showcase myself. And I'm not saying that that's what you guys are doing, but it's coming from a different place. So, what advice do you have somebody who's going to take that approach? Because I guarantee you, it still happens.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Here, but again, here's different from there. You're not. I mean, maybe you're trying to land television roles and movie roles, but
we absolutely are.
Yeah. Okay.
Clear. Yes, we do. I would say that you can't. You could come from it of a place of like, okay, I want to write this thing to showcase myself, but there has to be something else to it. Like
that's stronger than like what it is you believe in, the story you're telling.
Yes.
The people are going to smell it, and it smells fucking horrible.
You're not going to,
100%. And that's why I'm saying I don't put you guys in that category because it seems like,
like from the outside,
no, because
it seems very like.
Yeah, but no, because somebody presented you with something that made it that much stronger and made it that much more meaningful. Where it's just like, I know better. Just I got this. Trust me, I'm that good.
What I presented with was like people being like, "Hey, this dumb thing you did was like actually fucking cool. Are you gonna do it again?" And we're like, oh, I guess we will.
I guess we should do it again. Yeah. We should probably meet with everybody who saw it, who wants to talk to us, to give, so we can get their advice on how to make the thing better. Because going back to what I said, it's always been about the show. That's been our fucking MO from day one. So that just us kind of being like an experience and like, let's talk to everybody. And then once we gathered those notes, we were able to be like, okay, that we agree with that. That one doesn't really make sense. So let's put that out. But like, we were able to sift through every person we met with and find the really great ideas that they had and like connect them with what our intentions were.
And that's the difference, because I don't think a lot of actors who do that, or at least in Hollywood, they don't go in with that mentality. It's not about the show. It's about me and my talent and what I can, present,
Yeah.
They're not thinking about the overall picture. And that's what I think the difference is.
Worth nothing if you don't have the drive.
Right.
Oh, baby. And we've got that hustle from day one, because we fucking knew from day one that if we find the best version of this show, that it's going to take us a long time to find.
Yeah.
If we find that best version, ultimately that is going to reflect on us. It's going to come back to us.
You want to see something?
We're going to go to where we want. We're going to get to wherever we want to get to with this best version. And it is going to reflect on us. Like that was so simple to us to understand.
Yeah, this is a puppet that Garrett made of one of the characters in the show. It's a dragon that
Smog.
is a symbol of like she's like the green. She's called the Green Dragon, and she's the symbol of this smoothie that Kyle, who's so Ian works at the smoothie shop for Golem, and there's a kid. There's a kind of a local kind of burnout stoner guy that's like kind of an unlikely friend named Kyle that works there. And so Kyle is like, I know how we're going to save the shop for Golem. We're going to make a smoothie that's going to bring people in, and I'm going to put a fuck ton of weed in it, and it's called the Green Dragon Smoothie. And so this is like the personification of like that amazing smoothie that comes out to like save the day, because Ian wants to save the shop for Golem, because Golem's done so much for the community.
So, and that was my other question. So do in the context of Golem's history, do the characters within the play know who Golem is, or is it more from what Golem is? Are we scrapping who he was in the Tolkien books, and just he's a guy who's great in the community, but he's got a little bit of a schizophrenic.
The what books?
Yeah, the what? We don't know anything
Tolkien.
about.
Yeah, come on. He's a guy. He was around in the 50s. He wrote some books.
Oh, sounds really interesting. Our Golem has no affiliation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No affiliation.
Sorry. Wasn't. Yep. Got it. Understood.
No, I understand, but like
sure.
Respectfully, like it's on you. If you
understood.
I understand some people make a mistake. It is spelled Golem. It is our interpretation of a public domain creature with only coincidental similarities.
He's a beloved member of the community.
Yeah,
that's how everybody sees him. And there is this fine line that we ride throughout the whole show, and we get right there, but we don't go past it. And that is like one of the ongoing jokes.
That's what people say about it, at least.
Yeah,
I mean, that wasn't our intention to ride that line, but like,
Fair enough. So you simmer on it. What happens next? Once you've let it simmer, you insert your meaning, what it means to you guys, into it. It evolves, is my guess. And what's changed in that part? Once you realize that you have to kind of insert your own meaning into the piece, what's changed? What was cut? What was added? Or neither? It just became more of a performance. The performance is what changed rather than the writing.
Oh, the writing changed.
The writing has changed.
Okay.
We've changed almost everything.
We changed the ending like basically every single time that we did a draft. We did a different ending.
And it really wasn't until this most recent reading that we did at the Tank Theater, where we're doing the show now.
Yeah.
Last year.
Amazing organization. Love them.
Oh my God, they're great. I think that was the version that where it all kind of clicked into place, and we were like, okay, we could do this now. Let's just get the funding and the money, because the show it's at that point. And then after that reading, we went back and did another draft, and then we did a small table read, and we brought on that. What's different about that reading is that we brought on at that point a director. Someone that had been in with the show as a character, but just knew the comedy to a T. It was like their thing. And
brilliant director.
We allowed
shout out Patrick Swales Caldwell.
Patrick Swales Caldwell.
Yeah.
We allowed someone to start putting their touch on it. And I think that's sort of what ultimately got us to where we wanted to go. Because they were also acting as a dramaturge. Like they're an incredible writer. Am I wrong?
You said dramaturge.
You know what I mean.
It's pronounced turg.
I can
It's fine. Like no one's gonna.
I'm not here to correct you.
I wrote a show called Golem Owned, Tropical Smoothie. Whether you're a turd or you do drama, it can be anything. Okay,
exactly. That's what we're here to sell. That's the message.
That's what it's saying.
If you get anything from this, it's that.
Hey, you can write anything you want to write.
What? Okay, so once your director comes on, are you in agreement the whole time? Are you fighting to keep things in?
No, because again, it comes back to that thing of like the show is the thing, and they're going to take us there.
They get it.
I mean, if some ideas are thrown out that we're really just like that doesn't make any sense, we'll say something. But we've been on the same page for the most part. Thank God.
Well, we have a room full of, like, we've had people that have been in the show. This is very important. We've had people that have been playing main roles in the show that have been on board with the show for a very long time. So every time we put readings together or did things, it was like getting the band back together.
So let me ask you this. Were there any moments where when the director came on who had that history of the show was like, hey, remember this moment that's not there anymore? We should bring that back. There just seems like I missed that point.
I don't think that. No,
just maybe little things. Maybe little things.
People, a lot of actors that were part of it
for years
were like, dang, you took out my favorite joke.
Yeah.
And we're like, what was it? And they're like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's in a folder somewhere.
Yeah.
But we replaced it because of this idea that makes more sense. At the end of the show, it comes back.
So old jokes, old songs.
We were getting
old, like little music bits. Like,
we were becoming, smarter writers. And
Sure.
so learning that, you got to kill some babies in order to get to where you want to go. But I don't think that we're putting things back in necessarily. We're like taking things out and then rewriting, but
Sure.
like we're not really bringing things back.
How did you get involved with the tank? What was that process?
Well,
we did this concert I was talking about.
Let's go back to the concert.
We did that big concert. And after that concert, we were looking to like do a full length reading somewhere. And we happened to meet after that concert, like our first like preliminary investors that allowed us to like, okay, we can do a reading and we can spend some money on a reading.
Yeah. What year is this?
This is last year.
Okay.
2020.
And before we get into that, because you just dropped a very important word in there, and that's investors.
Yeah, it is an important word. We're lucky as hell.
Well, okay, so we were introduced to the tank back when we were originally going to do the production through the theater organization called Theater Now.
Yeah.
They would produce our show at the tank. And then we said no.
The pandemic.
Yeah, because of the pandemic. We said no, we had to keep working on it. And then our producing consultant, the same woman who told us not to do the show yet, also had a connection to the tank, and she put us in touch again. She was like, there are these two guys, they have this show. You might want to talk to them because it could be something. And then we had told them of our prior involvement with their organization, that we were going to do the show there, and we didn't. And so that was our initial introduction to the tank.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of like reintroduced to it.
Yeah.
It came full circle.
Okay. So that was the original group you were going to be with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So where do the investors come in? And that's just because they knew the history of the show and they were willing to front some money?
Basically,
yeah.
That's basically how it went. It was like there was people they had never invested. They had never like invested in theater before. Mm-hmm. They had heard about the show for like a few years, but they saw it and they just really believe in it. And
there's something that
they went out of their way to tell us like, we see something in this and we want to help you. We're like, and they're not related to us by blood or anything.
No, what they said when they came to 54 Below, they said that what made them really interested was because they watched the audience watch the show, and they had
horrible seats.
They had horrible seats because they came in late, but they were able to watch the audience watch the show, and they were just like, we've never seen people have that type of reaction to anything before. Like, it was just a room full of people just like, oh my God.
Well, what's different about it, especially in that concert, was like people like in musical theater, there's not a whole lot of like Andy Kaufman type shit going on, like where like stuff breaks and like something like the people are unsure exactly of what in the room is happening and what is a show and what is improvised. Like that is an element that has always like lived in the show as an idea that like has kind of fueled the direction it's gone with the meta-ness in our involvement in it and what the equation is, how us being on stage is like a part of the show thematically, has always been like fueled by that, the desire to create like a energy of like, what actually is happening in this room right now. Like this is like a different form of comedy. And so I think that 54 Below that particularly went really well.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to give it too much.
Sure. How much improvisation goes into this production?
We're figuring that out as we speak.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about this today, actually.
We were, yeah.
I think it's important at this stage of a production where we're all about vibe in a room and making sure that like the actors, nobody's making a ton of money right now at this level of production. That's just basically what it is. We're hoping to get to that point, but nobody is. No. Everybody's got, separate jobs. So like it is really important in the room to make sure people are having a good time.
Right.
So while we're trying to figure out the script still, we are allowing people to sort of like put their own touch on certain lines and maybe change words so we can ultimately like, we'll lock something in eventually. But right now it's okay if the room is feeling good, if people are having fun while they're doing this thing. So there are specific scripted moments that are like, okay, this part's improv, but it's not a part where
you improvise, like where Golem is improvised. Golem, the script just says Golem describes the plot of Oedipus Rex in his own words.
Yes. And then like, there are moments where cast members are, continually like changing this line at this moment to try to find something funnier that we're kind of like letting go and we're just allowing to happen.
Well, because in that room, what's weird, we're like creating, what we found is like really, really works that to make like something special. And what is special about a new work, and especially new comedy, is that everyone in the room, if you are in service of finding the best, funniest thing, everyone is going to go with you. Yeah. Because that's what everybody wants.
So, and I love the fact that was one of the questions I was going to ask, if it's actually written in the script that, Golem improvises the story. So when is it time? When do you know when it's time to reel it in and say, okay, I think we've gone far enough. Let's get back to the actual story.
Plot points. Like the plot moments, the deep moments are written to a T, like to the letters, the punctuation. Like this is really important.
Or you mean like within the improv that's happening?
Within the improv, like, all right, Golem, we got time. We got time constraints. It's time to wrap this story up.
I feel like you can feel it. You can feel it with the audience. Like if the improv is not really working well, then just wrap it the fuck up. Don't keep going.
And then he stabs himself in the ice and sleeps with his mom. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Or put yourself further into the ditch. Just keep going and going and going.
Oh my God.
And then bury yourself alive in a pile of silence.
Yeah.
It's different approaches to comedy.
I would say just when you find it, you don't have to keep going. When you find the audience, like with the laughter gets to a certain point, you don't have to try to find the next one. Just like stop there. You're good.
Right.
You can keep going and going until it's dead completely. And the horse is on the ground, and
sometimes that does become hilarious. It does become where it's like you should have stopped 5 minutes ago, but because you didn't.
That's so much for the community.
Jesus.
That's so much. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
All right. So the concerts happen. You've gotten involved with the tank. You've got the investors. Now you're in rehearsals. Is that what the next step is?
Yeah.
Directors come.
We did a big reading last year, and like since then has been building up to this production, which is called in the tank. They call it their core production program, where we have a month-long run that we have 4 shows a week. We have 1 week of 3 and then 1 week of 5, but it's a 4
average
6 shows.
Yeah.
4-week run.
Yeah.
Where we get to like actually have it completely up on its feet. And we're in mid rehearsals for that, and we're going into tech like very, very soon.
In this coming week.
Yeah.
Did you guys do table work or anything like this, or because everybody's been involved for so long, it's just like, let's just get into rehearsals?
We did lots of like script table.
We did like 2 readings in between the last reading at the tank, and then like once we started rehearsals, and then within rehearsals, I would say we have like a whole new draft of the script just because we've been allowed the time to work on it with people.
How much do you, between you and the director, how much say, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, when it comes to this improvising, where it's just like, that's not really what that's not really in line with the characters that we had in mind? Or you just kind of give them that freedom and it's like, you know, I like where you're going, but can you tweak it a little bit? Or do you guys just sit back and let the director make those decisions?
I don't think we have to. I think you can feel it in the room when something doesn't work, or if it does work.
Yeah.
I think the room will let you know.
And we've been lucky and have done well to find people that have the same sort of sense of that feeling and energy. And we're
so if somebody falls on their face with something, but they gave it a shot, it's okay.
You help them back up, and we're like, it's okay. Just try something else. Try it again. There it goes. There it goes. Try it again tomorrow.
Yeah, if we fall on our face, it's like, oh, look, it's them.
Sure.
So like,
have any major changes happened during rehearsals? What's the rehearsal process been like?
It's been a lot of rewriting and a lot of new pages given to the cast every day. Yeah. Just because we're finding stuff.
We made one major discovery to like our main character's arc that I really like. Yeah. Has really extremely changed the game of the show. So that it was super special, and we like spent the whole day after finding, okay, so we got to do this in this scene, and this scene has to be like this, and then like this and this, and it all like it just linked up with all the things that we'd already written, like were recontextualized to mean something so much more. Yeah, it was. We laughed, we cried, we kissed babies. It was amazing. Amazing.
So it changed everything throughout the play. It wasn't just that particular scene. It was just like, it was the whole through line, and it's like,
it was like for somewhere like something like from the middle to the end is like what we found. It's like, okay, well, if that happens, and then what if he goes this way? Oh my God, that would mean that this is like that and that's like that.
It really helped. Yeah. It really helped answer the entire question of why does Golem own a tropical smoothie?
Which is a good question.
Which is the question. Yeah. And so we knew, oh shit, like that is it.
You know,
it was really cool.
Yeah.
That day I texted Ethan, I was like, dude, I really felt like a writer today. Yeah. It was fucking cool.
Yeah. Do you remember what I texted you back?
Oh, yeah. He texted me, he goes, yo, baby, we've been writers.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, why that particular moment, and how did you feel before that?
I felt like some guy.
No,
like an LA actor that made a vanity piece.
That moment, because our cast was in the rehearsal room working on the end of the show, which has this beautiful like choral arrangement. And we were out in the hall frantically working on this thing because we were so excited, and we were finding it as they were working on this
new finale, which we had written a whole new ending.
And it was just, here you go. Yeah. And they were doing that while we were doing this, and it just felt like very, I guess what I had always imagined in my head the whole process would be like, which is not the case. It's been us over the past 7 years meeting every day and like practicing this thing that we wanted to be, which was writers. And so we've always been writers. And I guess in that moment, it's just like, we've been working towards this moment in my head, this idea in my head. And we actually like, it came to be. So I was like, whoa, like, I guess I believe it now too.
You've met us at a very special time in our lives, James.
Yeah, James, because we have this now.
And Golem owned a tropical smoothie.
Golem, yeah.
What was how talk to me about the musical aspects and how that collaboration worked? I know that one of you mentioned that you would go off and come back with the songs. Like, what do you think of this? Were the other ones like, was it just riffings? Like, what do you this song? What's that next lyric? What's that next? What's the bridge? What's the chorus?
Yeah, it works a lot like that. I mean, I'm like between the two of us, like I'm a musician.
Yeah.
But we write everything together.
Right.
So like if I have an idea or like something, and I'll go off and something that's very complete will come into my head, and I'll be like, "What do you think?" And he'll be like, "That doesn't really belong there," or we could tweak it this way. We could like make it a little different. Sometimes he'll have an idea that's totally like I have these lyrics and I sort of have the music in my head, and like then it comes together that way where I just add the music underneath what he has, and it's like the other times that we do it completely together. You know, it's like one of the first songs we wrote, like when we were separated because I gracefully left that cruise ship contract. We had started writing this song, like this, like kind of sad, like 11th hour song where Ian's like on the beach and the sun is setting, and he's like, "I should just leave and give up," and like, what's even the point of me even trying to save the smoothie shop for Golem? You know, we're just going to move again, and my life's not going to be. What's the point of this story? What's the point of every other town that I've ever lived in? You know, like why should I even care about this when like there's just going to be a new thing that's going to be sad and break my heart around every corner? And then Golem comes in, he goes, and he's like, "Oh, Golem, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't save your shop." And goes, "Oh, yeah, you remind me of myself when I was your age." "You do?" "Yeah." So we were writing the song, and I was away, and Garrett sent me all these lyrics that he wrote, and then I like took them and like kind of conglomerized them into like a musical structure with like the build and the drop off, and I just sent it back to him in like a demo.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of like how that's like a snippet of how sometimes the process works. Yeah.
Ethan's being very kind. He's the music guy, and I have a very specific way of like that I can write music and lyrics, and I'll bring stuff to him, and I'll be like, "Well, this is what's in my head," and then he just understands what I'm talking about, and he starts playing something like that's totally it. And I talk about like vibe and like visually, what am I seeing, and then he'll paint it with music, and it's I'm just so grateful that he is able to do that, because it's really helped bring this thing to life.
What's the musical style behind this piece? Well, we jump around a lot of different styles. It's got this sort of like the general idea is it is an upbeat, fun, contemporary musical theater pop score.
Yeah. Okay, so pop.
Number gives like after school special. It's just very cheerful, peppy. We go into like some like melodrama type things, parody-ish of like musical theater type sad moments happen in the early part of the show, and then we go into this sort of vaudevillian Golem song, of which this cane that you've been seeing is called. That's why he's been practicing it, because Golem has like a magic cane.
I gotta get it right.
Sorry if I did that spoiler. I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
But and then we've got this villain song. Smeagol is the villain, by the way. Smeagol owns
interesting
major smoothie corporation that is like wanting to buy out Golem's mom and pop shop, which is called Tropical Smoothie, which has no affiliation to Tropical Smoothie Cafe. And
of course it doesn't. There's no cafe at the end.
Like if you think that, then that's on you. And there's a lot of different styles. Like there's an epic rock number. There's a blues number. There's like it's a 5-piece band. We've got like a reed player that doubled like on a lot of different reeds, you know, for little textures, surprises. We've got and then keys, bass, drums, guitar. It's like there's a lot of rock elements. There's a lot of pop. There's a lot of, and like in some of the more serious moments, it gets into this like kind of like the serious contemporary musical theater style, still with a lot of like, you know, accessible pop stylings.
Did you orchestrate for the rest of the instruments, or did you just like, this is the main thing, and then you just brought other musicians in that knew kind of what to do with what you brought to the table?
Well, I made the entire PV.
Okay.
And that's like that's kind of like I tried to structure this as like, this is the music Bible, where like, okay, so this is where I would put notes about orchestration details in it. So like people could get like a vision of like what the orchestrations might be. The job of orchestrating I gave to a really like a friend of mine for years and years, a really, really close friend who's been working us on the show like now for a few years, my friend Steven, who we met in college and music school together, and he's the orchestrator for the piece. But like, you know, he's like always, we were friends for years, and we have the same music sense of humor with music. We like, one thing that inspires us both is Pirates of Penzance. Are you familiar with Pirates of Penzance?
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I'm familiar with it.
Pirates of Penzance has this thing where it is such beautiful and detailed, epic music to the silliest fucking plot of all fucking time. And so they're singing this like heartbreakingly beautiful song with these like deep, just flowing, rich lyrics. And it's because when he was a young boy, his father's maid apprenticed him to a pirate instead of a pilot, because she was hard of hearing. And so then I must be a pirate because that is my duty. Oh, my darling dearest, I will miss you so. I will be able to see you again when I'm 80 years old. No, it seems so long. Swear until then you'll be true to me. Yes, I'll be strong. Yeah, no.
You just have to cut him off whenever you want, James.
No, I'm going to let him keep going.
I'm digging deeper and deeper. I'll keep going. No, I'll go all the way through the earth.
You fucking will.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for
actors making vanity cases? Stop.
No, more emerging playwrights that are friends that have an idea and they want to get it finished, let alone off the ground. Forget off the ground first. Let's get to the most important part, and that's just collaborating and finishing something.
Become fucking obsessive with it.
Yeah.
You need to meet every single day like it is your goddamn job. You have to be obsessive with it. You have to want it. And don't get lazy.
Yeah.
You have to want it. You have to meet every day.
What happened? What happened when those moments when it's like, hey, can we not meet today?
We had a few of those moments where like, hey, I'm just like something's going on, and we would reschedule. Yeah. But we would always find time. And whenever there were moments where one of us were like having doubts, the other one would always be on the opposite side of it and be like, dude, this is where we're going. And we would remind each other of what we were trying to do. And it was like, in that moment, it was night and day. We were like, oh my God, you're right. Let's do this thing.
How far we've come already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the time frame from beginning to end? You know, I don't mean the whole end. I mean, getting that first draft and saying, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. Let's just finish this first. What was the duration you looked at?
After the second reading on the ship, a woman by the name of Brenda Braxton, who is a musical theater actress, legend, Tony nominee, worked on a cruise ship with us and saw that performance. And she came up to me afterwards and was like, you have until April 1st to finish the first draft and send it to me. And I fucking texted Ethan. I was like, dude, Brenda Braxton wants us to finish it. She wants to see the first draft.
Yeah.
Is he on the island at this point?
What?
Is Ethan on the island at this point?
Ethan was in the jail at this point.
Okay.
I don't know if he was still on the island. He might have been back in New York.
I think I was back in New York. I got out easily. I paid a fine and I went home, and it was like I learned nothing.
But someone at that level, a Tony nominee, saw what we were doing and thought it was worthy enough to get a first draft. And so that meant everything. So I think that was about 3 months from where we were to when she wanted the draft. It was 3 months. So we finished the first draft in 3 months. And we sent it to her. We didn't hear anything. She never said anything. But it wasn't the point. The point was that
you had a deadline.
We had a deadline, and we fucking met it. And so we were like, okay, we did this. Now where do we go? And then we just kept going.
So, I mean, I don't know if you guys had it because it sounded like you had some good drive that made, like, even if there was a day or two lag, was there ever a moment where it was like too much time? Like, because, you know, if you take too long of a break, you're getting that momentum back up.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to that point where it's like, dude, you're killing me. We got to do this before the deadline. Obviously the deadline is like, now you kind of don't have a choice.
Well, it kind of like became our main focus like so quickly because a large part of that was because we like kind of, as soon as we both got to New York, essentially, right, which was in that fall following the cruise ship, we entered this contest, won the contest, and then joined the writers group the following fall. So it was like we kind of knew, okay, this thing is the thing that we're going to follow until the wheels fall off. And the wheels have only gotten bigger and faster and more tread on them to be able to make turns in like larger engine. And like we changed the transmission is like, we've got a better transmission. We got the shield had a crack, but we got a fixed windshield.
Jesus,
that was great.
Up on the windshield and power steering. We had power steering.
Shut the fuck up! Oh my god.
So Garrett, I'm assuming you finished your contract. You finished your commitment, and then it was like, let's reconnect in New York, and that's what got it back going up and running.
Our real break was the pandemic, though, because you went home and I stayed.
So I get the gist. I love the advice of every day. Yeah. You got to do it every day. Do you find that if it was like once a week, that it would be a lot harder?
Yeah.
There's some people that we know that are like writers that meet like once a week. And I don't know how. It doesn't make sense.
How do you pick up? It's you lose that train of thought. I mean, like we would go like 3 days without hanging out and writing, and we'd be like, okay, let's make some coffee. We got to go back from the top. Yeah. Let's read what we have to get back up to speed, and it would take like an hour to be like, okay, we're in it now. But like a week is crazy.
Yeah, and God, this process that we're in right now has like been such a night and day eye-opening experience to like how easy it is to make great rewrites fast when you are in a process where you're really in it is like amazing. When we're like trying to write like in the world between our jobs and stuff, it was so hard.
No, and you know what? You can meet once a week as writers, and that's fine. But I think what you need to ask yourself is, how quickly do you want to get to where you want to go?
Yeah.
And we were trying to get there fast.
Yeah,
because we got other shit.
Did you have an idea of it? Did you give yourself without Broadway, Babe? Did you had you given yourself not a virtual deadline, but just kind of like a goal deadline, like by March 31st, dude, this is what we're shooting for. Let's have it done by March 31st, and see, and go from there. For
like every draft, do you mean?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, before this initial thing, well, I guess it doesn't really matter because you already had that initial deadline with the Broadway thing.
Yeah. I feel like we always we were like, because you know what we would do, James? We would schedule a date for a reading where we were going to show people what we had. And that's how we would it would light the fire under our ass. We're like, okay, so we have to finish the draft by this reading that we've already scheduled and we've invited people to.
Yeah.
So like we have to have something.
So I gotta finish the score. And stay up and do this and this and this, and you need to stay up and make the pilots. And like that's how it works.
And is that a living room reading, or is that like, hey, look, we got a space. We invited people, and we've got it. You know, we're gonna look bad if we don't have it.
Expensive, you know, like it's like when it comes down to it, like it's not that. And people are like, oh, we got a space, and it's like, not that bad.
No, but like we always knew that we wanted people to take it as serious as we did. Right. So we were like, we need a room. We need to make this look like something a little bit more professional than what we are.
No, 100%. And I use that having a space. It could be somebody who's in high school who's got a classroom, or somebody who's in college who can get the studio stage that's not being used that night together, to where it's like we have a space that we're inviting people to, rather than like, hey guys, come on over for some pizza because we're going to read you our script, which is fine too. But it's just like, what's that catalyst, where it's like, we've got people coming, we've got a goal, we've got an audience, we have people that are relying on us to have some kind of a product at the end.
We've done both. We've done the room thing with the pizza, and we've got snacks. We've done the full reading. I think it's like back to like people, if you're in high school, college, you would be so surprised how many people want to help you make your thing happen. Yeah. You got to tell them first, though. Hey, I've got this idea. I want to do this thing. People will fucking help you, man. They will help you.
Yeah, my dad is like, I think other dads might do this, but my dad does it especially. He loves metaphors from old baseball movies. And he would always say, before I even saw the movie, he would say, if you build it, they will come.
Okay. I thought you were going to go with bottom of the ninth, bases loaded.
Mighty Casey has struck out. No, if you build it, they will come. And it's from Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner builds a baseball field.
I don't know a lot of sports, but I do know that. And it's it's not too similar from what my dad would tell me growing up, which was, you fucking gay? And I would just be like, no. Yeah. But then
you are though. You were. Then what happened?
I'd lie until I was ready to be truthful.
And now it's time for a musical number.
No, but then they came, and that's the end of that. I guess I don't know.
What?
I'm still in the closet.
There's still time. Don't rush it.
What?
No pressure. You come out when you want to.
Oh, what do you mean come out? I'm not gay.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was saying to my dad.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, James has another question. Come on.
What?
Where do you see this going? Which obviously, I mean, I kind of get the gist. What's the next step? Once you wrap up the tank production, what do you feel? What do you think what do you think? What do you have a next step that you're planning on? Do you start shopping it around? Do you
Broadway? We love musical theater. I don't know.
Is this off or is this off? Not that it matters.
No. This will thrive in an off-Broadway downtown space, but I don't see why we couldn't find somebody who thinks that this could go all the way.
Weirder shit has been on Broadway.
Hell yeah.
That's what I think.
I think that most producers, when they see this, are just scared of it because they've never seen something like this before, and they don't know what to do with it, and they don't know if people are going to latch on to this thing. They want to see like the community first. They want to see like the following before they're like, okay, we'll invest, which has been the hardest part.
Yeah, but even without ever having put up the show for real until this run that's upcoming, we do have a community. That's what's like amazing about this is that we have like just doing readings and like it's the actors at stands and rehearsal rooms, from doing like concerts where we write like a little mini concert script that gives like a sort of a shape of what the show is about, but like not nearly like the whole thing. Like we've been able to grow a community, and I think it comes from people love fun, silly shit. And then when you do that and it has a heart, that's like it gives people the affirmation that like it's life affirming. It's the thing that people make fun of about musical theater, that we make fun of about musical theater, that is that we do believe it. Though.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. It started off like we were kind of making fun of musical theater, and then the show has really turned into like a love letter to it. You know?
It's all so fucking
it's based in grief.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy based in grief.
I don't know. I also see a world in which like we get this to a certain level that we like, and then we film it, and then we try to, sell it and get the world to see it that way.
We'll sell it. We'll be outside on Skid Row with DVDs, and we'll just like with just a picture of Golem's face, and we'll just hand them out for like $5 a pop.
Send it over this way. I'll stand outside of Hollywood and Highland. Just have them outside the
hustle. You got to do
the subway. What are you guys working on right now outside of this? What are you working on anything else outside of this?
Nothing.
Okay. Are you discussing new ideas that comes after this, or is just like, let's just get this, in the can and finished, and then we'll figure out what the next step is? And are you going to publish it as well? I mean, are you looking at maybe doing that to where it's like other?
Yeah, we've had that. That is something we've been talking about. Is the version of the show that does not contain the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We definitely want to license it. But I don't know if after this that will be when we do that. But we're definitely headed towards that at some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about other stuff that we want to write, and but we're just so deep in this right now. It's like,
well, it's been a long time coming. It's fair enough, so one thing at a time.
I mean, we both, like, Garrett has plays that he's written. I have a comedy pilot that I wrote a long time ago that I've been meaning to revisit, but it's been Golem, man. It's been Golem, and every time we speak to Golem, Golem speaks back.
Yeah.
So we've been in a long, constant dialogue.
Fair enough. And where can people find your work?
Huh?
Where can people find your work? Outside of this, obviously, I'm going to put the ticket link down below.
Yeah.
In the show notes.
Yeah. We make videos sometimes.
Yeah.
Like on Instagram, on TikTok. Every now and then we'll come up with a sketch or something. We have a podcast of our own.
Oh, okay.
It's called Quiet Time. Have you ever? I'm sure you've encountered this, James. There's a problem sometimes with podcasts where
there's technical difficulties beforehand.
Well, that too, but like sometimes you turn a mic on and then people like say something into a microphone that lives forever on the internet, and then they get in trouble because it gets taken out of context or something. So our show is how to fix that from happening, where everyone has a buzzer in front of them. You can buy these buzzers off of Amazon for like $15 for a pack of 4, 2 AA batteries. It's like they use them for dogs, to train dogs. And we put them in front of each other, us two, and Steven, the orchestrator, and our friend Kim. And we, if someone's about to say something that's wrong, you just hit their buzzer. They can't talk for 30 seconds. Solved. You just saved your friend. You just saved their career. You rescued them. You rescued them from the prison of public shame.
And how do you go back and fix the people that don't have that opportunity of a buzzer?
They did it to themselves.
Yeah, they should have. If they had been with us, then they would have, they could have. But you know what? You can't, if only Kramer had been with us instead of at the comedy show.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
We would not have let him say that. We wouldn't have let him do it.
You already hinted at it, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. Are you on the socials?
Yeah,
we're on TikTok. We have Instagram.
As a duo?
No.
Okay, do you guys want to share your handles one at a time?
Yeah.
Sure.
Instagram is Garrett Poladian, and then my TikTok is at Raven Simone's Taint.
Yeah. You have underscores in that? Raven underscore Simone underscore Taint?
Yeah, Raven underscore
Simone's. Like possessive plural.
Yeah.
Possessive, not.
What about you, Ethan?
At Ethan Crystal 1. And if someone find that fucker Ethan Crystal that took at Ethan Crystal, them to me. Bring them to me. Let's have a chat. Let's just talk. All I want to do is talk.
And then also, if you can, do me one other favor is do, if you don't mind, if you want to share it, send me that. You said there was the clip of the initial 10-minute on the ship. I'll include that down below as well if you need that to me.
Cool. We definitely have it.
All right, Ethan Crystal and Garrett Poladian, thank you for coming on to this episode of Playwright Spotlight.
Thank you so much for having us.
And the show is Golem at Golem Musical. The Golem.
At Golem Musical, great, awesome. And is that
the legally appropriate way?
Wonderful. I will include that as well. Thanks again, gentlemen. Have a great run.
Thank you, sir.
You have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Playwright Spotlight. Again, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and share the show with a friend. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe to the channel. And in the meantime, and until we see each other again, keep writing.